Hello, everyone. This is Sunday Service with Invicta Music. So, our lovely founder Sherry isn't with us tonight as she's a bit under the weather. So, you're lucky enough to have me instead, or maybe unlucky, depending on if you like me or not. I don't know yet. But yeah, so we've got our Sunday Service, which is our music stream running fortnightly on Invicta Media's Twitch channel. And today we've got Scottish death metal titans Godeater with us. So, Ross and Will, introduce yourself and your role within the band. Whoever wants to go first.
I guess I'll go first. I'm Ross and I play guitar for Godeater. I also do quite a lot, I do a lot of the writing and I take quite a heavy production role in the band. And yeah, that's about it for me.
Hey, I'm Will and I only play bass.
Only play bass. What else do you contribute then? Artistic direction, anything? Just bass. Fair enough. The groove, that's all you need.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Bass and gains.
Bass and gains. Nice.
One thing, I will take that mantle.
Two things is good enough for a band, right? But yeah, okay. So we'll dive into some of the origins as both musicians and as a band. But yeah, let's start with, what's the first music you ever remember buying? So your own thing, not something your mum or your dad got you. And what format was it in as well? We'll go first this time.
I can't remember early stuff, but it was probably some horrible new metal album. Yes, probably some like Korn or something. I think pretty much everyone started in new metal and then went to death metal. So probably that.
That sounds pretty general, really. So nothing too embarrassing, at least. Ross,
no.
The first CD I ever remember actually buying was a Waterboys album. I don't know if anybody in the chat, I guess if there's Scottish people in the chat, they probably do, but they're a sort of Celtic rock band, I guess you could call them. But they were they had some pretty big kind of pop hits and stuff. And I bought it on CD from Missing in Glasgow, which is now kind of weird, sort of defunct, used CD shop. But yeah, that's the first CD I ever bought, but I remember buying loads of stuff. I bought CDs until fairly recently, the past 5 years or so.
Nice. That's a pretty deep dive.
Yeah, the Waterboys.
Yeah, never.
Honestly,
never
mate, they're absolutely class.
Interesting. That's a good place to start. But yeah, and going on from that as well, another first. What's the first gigs you attended, if you remember?
It was Machine Head, Fear Factory, Slipknot, that kind of gateway stuff.
All the heavy hitters of early 2000s and stuff.
Yeah.
Ross, what about you? I think you muted.
I think the first gig I went to was I went with the first gig I went to was with my mom and dad. We went to see Bob Dylan, supported by Van Morrison. What? And then after that, I went to see. Yeah, I've still got the ticket. It was only 20 quid. It's on my pinboard.
20 quid for Bob Dylan.
I was about 7 or 8, I think, when I went to that. And then when I was about 12, there used to be a thing in Glasgow. I'm sure Will remembers this, called Gig on the Green. It kind of went through a weird kind of rebrand to Download Scotland, I think, at one point. But I went on a Saturday and it was, I've realised now, looking back, that Raging Speedhorn were on it and we share a booking agent with them. And Slipknot, The Offspring, Dillinger Skate Plan, NoFX's last Glasgow show, and The Prodigy headlined. So to that with my mum and dad as well. And after that, I think the Offspring just on their own was the first.
That's quite a list. Can already see you've got a bit of a better memory at this point, but the Offspring's a good one as well because everyone.
A memory for useless things, maybe, but yeah.
Yeah, everyone who's seen The Offspring, they're just like, oh, they're a great, fun live band. It tends to be that way with some of those older ones as well. They're just fun to go and watch. Was it The Offspring or is something?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're meant to be here this year, like later this year.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, if it happens.
Something. I can't remember if
I'm
it
probably
was
going to go
them.
to that and drink pints.
Why not? I mean, how many pints of... Apparently, we need to, drink 124 pints to save the UK's pubs.
Oh, the
at
UK.
this
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
Yeah,
I think Scotland done that yesterday.
Was
I
it?
can do that. I can.
Yeah.
I'm willing to do my part to make this happen.
We'll do it in a week, and everyone will be happy. Was it yesterday? All your guys' pubs opened, or went? Was it different to England? I don't even know.
No. Oh, so this is it's a whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I care very little for exactly when things happened or what's going on. Just it'll happen when it happens at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you've got some good origins there.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, all our stuff's been kind of pulled back, so
we'll definitely get into that bit a little bit later on as well in terms of gigs and releases and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, we've started with your origins. So what was the trigger point in going from consuming music into creating it?
For me, I had like Incubus, No Doubt, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Primus, and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. I need to try and learn this. And then I heard Mudvayne, and I was like, I give up. And then started learning some of that, and then heard Cannibal Corpse, Cryptopsy, that sort of stuff, and it was just a big old slide into extreme music.
And then Ross, what about you?
I mean, I started doing piano lessons when I was at school, like primary school. So I was about 7 or 8, and then I went to secondary school, and I was like, oh, like class, like I'll get a guitar. And then obviously, like a guitar doesn't just sound like what you want it to sound like. So I kind of packed it in for a bit, and I kept doing like piano lessons and stuff. And then I think I was about 15, and I got a bass because I had. You don't have to play chords, you just have to play like one note, so it would be easier than playing guitar. And then I switched back to guitar when I was about 16, and it's been since then. So yeah, 15 years now since then.
Fair. You've insulting the bassist as you go along, but I'm sure he appreciates that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I really needed that.
I said it was stupid. I said it was stupid because like I obviously know it's not easy. But in my like brain, I was like, oh well, you're like obviously playing one note is easier than 3 at the same time.
Yeah, and that's why like,
maths is not my strong point. So,
I mean, at the age of 15 or whatever, we just wanted to play, really, didn't you?
Yeah.
Everyone just wanted to grab an instrument and get into it, and then you realised, oh shit, this is actually hard.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think you can just pick up and rattle out a tune, and then you see your first tab for something really complicated, and you go, "What is this?"
And then, like 3 years down the line, you know exactly how to play it, and then you look at something else even more complicated, and you're just like, "Wait, what? I can do this now."
That really is me now. Like if I'm like, oh, I want to learn to play that, I'll open the tab and just be like, no, I'm not going to do that. Like I don't have time. I would rather like write music than learn it for me now. So I guess I'm still 15 in my head in that sense.
Yeah, 15 you just want to play it, and then at 30 you could probably play it but don't have the time to learn it. Shifts completely in 2 different ways.
Yes.
Okay. Further on from that, is there a particular band or song that I'd say reinvigorates your desire to continue creating the music? Do you hear someone and go, wow, what if we'd written that?
I think Ross could probably answer that better. And there's a lot of like bass players I hear especially now. In fact, even some of my friends in UK bands who, when they play or when they release something, I'm like, holy crap, like I need to step up my game and like that kind of thing. But in terms of writing, yeah, Ross is probably your man for that one.
I mean, yeah, I'm kind of the same as well. Like mates bands and stuff, like just raising the bar constantly is kind of what pushes me. Like as a, in terms of being a player, but like in terms of being a writer, like I just want to write better songs, I guess. And just that can come from anything. Like I try not get into the mindset of like, oh, I want to write a thing that sounds like that thing I've just heard, because I think then you maybe run the risk of being a bit like derivative, which happens like accidentally anyway. So I'm always a bit wary of that. But yeah, like there's so many bands, and like for me, it really is like, it's not necessarily heavy music anymore. It's just, it can be, whatever. For a while, like obviously I can't do it just now, but like traveling was quite a big thing for me. Like if I go a new place, I'll be like, oh yeah, I want to write. So I would just take my laptop out and write with it there and then.
Nice. That's a good way to do it. You definitely get inspiration as you're in different places and different settings. Is there any, just as another question on that, is there any specific setting you like going to actually write? Is there anywhere that inspires you?
I mean, in the past year, it's been awful. Like, I'll be the first person to tell you, like, I don't really feel inspired in the four walls that I'm sitting in just now, which unfortunately is where I've had to sit for the past year. In terms of going places, like, honestly, anywhere, like, even just going to see, like, the sea is quite, like, kind of inspiring or, like, invigorating for me. But, like, I don't know, like, I can pinpoint, like, if you go through our first album, like I can pinpoint like where I wrote different bits of it. Like some of it was maybe the staff room at work. Some of it was in, Europe somewhere. I definitely wrote a couple of bits. I went to Japan a few years ago and I wrote a couple of bits and pieces there. So yeah, just wherever. And I guess, I don't know. I don't really know what it is, but I like seeing new places and I feel kind of fired up by them. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to like try and, I don't know if it's a subconscious way of trying to document like being there, even if it doesn't sound like it's from there.
Just what you're feeling in the moment whilst you're there.
More or less, yeah. Just something goes off in your brain and you're like, oh yeah, cool. I'll do that. I'll type this out or I'll write it or whatever.
I vibe with that. For Will, actually, so do the other guys tend to bring you stuff first and then you write bass to it, or do you bring bass lines and then the others write around it as well? Or
well, generally Ross already has like an idea of what he wants. Like generally, a lot of our music is written as a whole piece. So like the albums or like the EPs are like full, like not in sections. They all like kind of merge into each other, like almost telling a story almost in like certain parts. So Ross has an idea of kind of what he wants, like a kind of a basic idea of what he thinks would work in the context of the song. But like I essentially have free range to do whatever the hell I want. So sometimes I do, and sometimes we just keep it simple. So I find, especially in extreme music, the bass can sometimes be too much, and I think sometimes less is more. Like the bass is supposed to be like a supporting role, and then with the kind of nice wee flourishes that make it stand out. For me, anyway, I know like a lot of other bass players treat it as a lead instrument, and hey man, whatever works. But I think for us, definitely, keeping it right for the song. If that makes any sort of sense.
No, I can see what you're saying. I think with you saying stuff you'd listened to before, like even though, Primus with Les Claypool and Red Hot Chili Peppers with Flea, the bass can be quite forefront at times. It's got all those little nuances and the little fancy bits that are added in as well. So rather than just being bass in your face, it's the little things that just give it that bit of character.
Yeah, I definitely think that. Then you kind of listen to it again and you discover, listen to that like a little bit that he's added in was really tasteful, and then but how It's the same as like when you listen to a band who only play at like 300 BPM. It kind of stops being fast, so you don't really notice the speed of it until they slow it down and then go fast again. So I kind of treat the bass playing like that.
That makes sense. It brings more to the overall recording that way then.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, and then at some point in time, when was it that Godeater was actually formed? When did you unite, and how did that happen?
Oh, well, it was, I can actually remember, so we've all been friends for ages, we've all known each other, and there's been numerous times we've bumped into each other at the pub or at a gig and went, oh, we should totally start a band, and then it never happens. But me and Andy, the other guitarist, were at Cattle Decapitation, and Ross was there, and our old drummer was there, and our now vocalist was there. And I was like, right, let's stop kind of pretending. Let's just start a band. Right, cool. Let's get a practice space, and we'll go in. A week later, we were in, and Ross, being Ross, had a catalogue of songs already. He was like, "Yeah, let's start playing this." And yeah, that is literally how it happened. In a queue, like 6 months or something like that, and then we were playing TechFest. He was like, "Whoa!" So yeah, it was as fast as that.
Yeah, big step in a short space of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that says like quite a lot about the band. I'm sure Will will agree with this, but like, I feel like there was a lot of intent just from the get-go. I don't know if that's maybe because we are like a little bit older and we just kind of were like, yeah, we still want to do this. But like to just like off the bat have like songs, and like I think like we had one song out before we'd played a show, and in the day of our first show we put out like music that people could go home and listen to. And I think that helped to sort of solidify it like as a band. And then over the past, sort of 3 or 4 years, it's really like taken shape from there and it kind of into what it is now and where it's hopefully, going in the next sort of year or so as well.
Hopefully going in the next year or so. Hopefully is definitely the word for it, I think. Yeah, so you just said you'd played TechFest as well, and you've done Damnation, and another tour you've announced is with Isaiah and Bound in Fear for hopefully later this year.
Yes.
So did those all come about quite naturally then? I mean, you said the TechFest one did.
And well, our first ever show was with Within Destruction and A Trust Unclean, R.I.P. Good boys. Then the second gig we ever played, we went down to Tech Habilitation in London at New Cross Inn. Like From Sorrow to Serenity. It was supposed to be like the Heart Machine and Harbinger played. Who else played? It was a wild lineup anyway. So like we were just like, why are we here? I mean, this is our second ever gig, and our third gig was TechFest. So yeah, that was wild. We're like all Scottish. We were not equipped for that heat.
Actually got the warmth.
Yeah, I think I had heat stroke in the van on the way back.
Oh no. Oh, that's grim. I mean, you were just saying before it's cold up there anyway, and whenever I've been up to Scotland, it's always been bloody freezing. So
yeah, that's just how we roll. So like playing it in extreme music in what is essentially like a tin hut was just a no-go.
I mean, smashing it out like that will keep you warm at least.
Oh yeah. I had to like bin my t-shirt.
Oh no. That grim. Wait, was it a good t-shirt or was it your throwaway?
It was just I think for the first Tech Fest, it was just like we'll just go a plain black t-shirt. Should have went white, but whatever.
Been and done. But yeah, no, that's a good one. Who else would you actually like to tour with?
Oh man, local like kind of UK bands. There's like so many. There's Harriet, who we are like booking buddies with. They're just signed to Church Road Records. Insane. Hidden Mothers, Forlorn. Oh, man, like the list could go on. I would love personally to tour with Rollo Tomasi. Love them. Absolutely love them.
Absolutely fantastic band.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, like Will's right. There's loads of like promising UK bands, and like even going up from there as well. Like stuff like Godeater would be great, I think, for us. And then going further above that, like your kind of Cattle Decapitation, Aborted, Black Dahlia Murder, like they're all bands we've listened to for, you know, years. And just at this point, I was like, just tell me what the tour is, and I'll be there.
Yeah, essentially.
Like,
get as much opportunity.
I'm just here to play shows.
Play shows, have a good time, and hopefully not get heat stroke.
Yeah, that's pretty much the rules.
And don't drink too much the night before a show, or have you not got that down yet?
No, like we like one of our pals was it was marketing or something for Drygate Brewery. So before the the Harbinger tour and before the Vex tour, he gave us like so many like crates of these like really strong beers. And obviously we were like, well, it's free beer, so why will we not drink all of it? Yeah, Q coming home like 5 days later or whatever, our livers pickled.
Were there any drunken mishaps at all on that one? Or
No, and everything was totally fine. Nothing ever happened. I swear.
People always kind of say that about us, like, you seem like a really tame band, and like even if you are like drinking and stuff, like nobody gets themselves into like an absolutely like ludicrous situation. Like it's all a bit kind of I've had a few beers, I've played a show, and like if you're out, especially like touring like that, when you're sleeping on somebody's like couch, like do you really want to go back and be absolutely like leathered just causing a scene in their house? And I don't think any of us want to do that. So we're pretty tame, to be honest.
And there's this place called The College near Birmingham. I think anyone, like any bands, will probably say, yep, crashed there before. And without fail, we always want to go back and watch GoldenEye. So they've got an N64 and they've got like a whole, like thousands of DVDs. But it's always GoldenEye for some reason.
I don't know why. I feel like I feel like people always like, like choose a film, like great, and I was like, GoldenEye's here, and it's just GoldenEye that goes on, and I don't even make it through like the first 10 minutes, so I don't know what happens after that.
We just wake up and Sean Bean's dead.
I mean, isn't that every film Sean
really
Bean's
graphic?
Yeah.
Actually, the one film that I've seen that he's been in that he hasn't died is Silent Hill. Ironically,
he does die.
Not in the first Silent Hill.
Does he die in Silent Hill? What?
No,
I'm sure he does. No,
he doesn't die in Silent Hill.
No. Like, are you sure? Because is he not? He goes in. Oh God, I don't know. Terrible movie anyway.
I mean, yeah, it wasn't great, but yeah, it's the only one that I don't think he died. I think it was the others that kind of died, but it's never really explained. No. I'm pretty sure it wasn't Sean Bean for once.
I'll go with that.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Yeah. So yeah, you've got that tour, but some shows booked later this year, but there's still people are quite skeptical as to whether we'll get any at all. Do you guys agree that might be the case?
Yeah, I don't know. Trying not to think about it. Just like we booked the time off, it's going to happen, and we'll literally just see. I don't know. Fingers crossed, but
yeah, I'm a bit the same. Unfortunately, my like actual work is also kind of fairly dependent on working events. I've been quite lucky with my job and like being like moved to another department and stuff. But yeah, I don't really. I'm trying to be hopeful about it, and like obviously I want to tour, especially if it's a tour with like friends, and we'll get to play some songs we've not played live before and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, just after seeing like kind of displays in Glasgow, like, and just down south as well, like on the news, I'm about like, I don't know how this is going to go, and I don't want to be negative about it because I don't think that actually helps anybody. But I also don't want to get myself like really positive, like, yeah, this is going to happen, and then we get like crushed later on, and that just puts everybody back. It'll definitely put me back mentally if that happens.
It's probably easier just to sit on the fence with your opinion on it and just be like, if it happens, it happens. If not, we can reschedule if needed. But did you initially have anything planned for 2020 that you had to reschedule, or was this one a reschedule? I'm not too sure.
So we were meant to go out with Leached, and then we did like a bunch of other stuff that we were all we can't say anything because it might get rescheduled. But we did a bunch of stuff like on the back burner, that we ended up not even being able to put our name in for, kind of thing. So, but yeah, the Leached one was fully booked, and I think it was like 2 weeks away or something like that, and we had to cancel the whole thing, which was an absolute bummer because some of the support bands on it were incredible as well.
Oh, I thought Ross was going to say something.
Yeah, I mean, the Leech thing was just gutting because like we were really like stoked on that. Like we think they're like a great band and they seem like really nice dudes and stuff. And I think the UK wasn't in like lockdown yet, but like I was getting sent home from work. We were cancelling shows, and like it was kind of heading. And I think we pulled out of it like on the Monday, and then like on that Monday they announced like, yeah, by the way, the UK is in a full lockdown as of like next Monday. So I think if we'd gone to play the shows, we would have been fine, but I don't think we wanted to put anybody else at risk. I mean, I guess quite fortunately, like that was the end. At that point, I was like, okay, our All Flesh is Grass album cycle is kind of done. So let's go back to basics and work on some stuff in the background. Like after a few weeks, I was like, well, we've definitely got time for this.
Has it been hard practicing as a band for this last year, or have you just done it like over video call like we're doing today?
We don't practice. Our drummer lives in Bournemouth. We get in a room before.
Well, you've just exposed us as like.
Sorry, like it's a horrible truth, but like everything's to a click track anyway. So see, as long as everyone's tight, we're fine.
Yeah. What can go wrong?
Yeah.
And the one.
Yeah, I mean, we play to a click track, so like what we play in the house is the same night after night on tour. So like if you do your part in the house, when we meet up like for tour, I think we normally try and book like 6 hours, so we've got like a bit of like comfort to it all. Maybe head off a day early, chill out a bit, catch up with each other because it's been months. And then everybody's kind of done their part and it's kind of fine. Like I feel like a lot of people think it's really unusual, but I actually don't really know if it is. Like, I think once you get to a point where you're kind of maybe touring a bit more, like it becomes the norm rather than practicing once, or in our case, very early on, twice a week.
Yeah, no, there's quite a few bands that do that, actually. I know Tesseract. I think it's Jay that lives in America, actually. So yeah, for their Portal stream last year, they had to. I genuinely can't remember who they got in for it at this point, but yeah, they had to get someone else in because he couldn't fly over.
Was it not Mike Mallion, who played for Monuments and stuff? Is that not who they got in the end?
Cannot remember at this point. Was it?
It was some. Yeah, it was well sick, but yeah, unfortunately, like travel restrictions are not the one. So
and it was a fantastic stream that they did anyway. So yeah, it played really well. What do you remember? What the last show was before lockdown?
Yes.
How long?
Viscera. Yes, it was Viscera on the Decapitated, Beyond Creation, Lorna Shore, and Ingested. But I think Ingested had to go home for, I think it was like some family thing or something. So yeah, Viscera were like the last like pals we saw. That was it.
And when was that? Was that
February? March.
Right before it locked down, pretty much.
Yeah, because I remember they cut their tour like by half or something, which was a shame.
Yeah, definitely. I think loads of bands had to cut them in half at that point.
Yeah.
Some were out in the middle of Europe as well, and just had to come straight back. It was madness. But yeah, in terms of festivals at home, which people have been doing a lot as well, though. So you performed a Tech Habilitation at home.
Yes.
I think that was that September and November last year.
November, yeah.
And then you performed a cover of Slipknot's Eyeless. So how did you decide on that song out of everything you could have done?
Our vocalist Josh is like a massive Slipknot fan, like huge Slipknot fan. And it was People Equal Shit that we done. But I wish we'd done Eyeless though, because that's my favourite Slipknot song. Yeah, we just thought like it'd be a fun thing to do, just throw in a cover and just put blast beats over the top of it.
When in doubt, blast beat it out.
That is pretty much our drummer's motto.
I can see it.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. Like, I think I'd kind of done it as like a bit of a joke just on my own, and then I was like, like we could totally do a Slipknot cover, and then it was like, oh yeah, actually we could. I'd maybe like to get it mixed and mastered properly at some point, but I don't know if we ever will. I have a bit of a thing about covers that I don't really want like to be known for them, if that makes sense. And I think if you're going to do covers, like I really love doing Between the Buried and Me did Anatomy of, and it's like that full album of covers. I thought that was really sick. But yeah, I don't almost want to be known as that kind of token band, like, oh yeah, remember that time they did that cover. I think that I'm happy with how People Equal Shit turned out though. Like, yeah, it was cool.
Sweet. Yeah. And then how did the process differ in recording and performing for an at-home show in comparison to the actual live ones? Was it easier or harder?
It's muscle memory, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
you know the songs and that's it.
They were all songs that we'd been currently playing on tour, so we played a bunch of them on the Harbinger tour. We played them at Damnation. We'd done them on the Vex tour, so we were still on that sort of pick up your instrument and you just know, like there wasn't where's that note again. So I think luckily, like when we did record it, it was as Ross says, it was muscle memory, which was handy. But yeah, it was fun. I would totally love to do something like that again.
So was it, even though it was just muscle memory to play, was it a bit was it harder to get into it with it not being a live environment, or did you just get lost in the music as soon as you picked it all up again?
I wet my hair and just went for it.
Yeah, it's quite hard for me to get into it. You can probably kind of tell just with me sitting in it, but like if I'm in my room, like I'm in my room, I'm not playing a show. Like maybe younger Ross would have probably been able to get into it, but like it doesn't really work like that in my head. So I look pretty bored, quite frankly, through like all of it.
I think that was the difficulty for quite a lot of people, but I mean, some were able to get together as a full band almost and play. But yeah,
I mean, we possibly could have, but with kind of rules and stuff, like I think we used our time a little. We had to be quite like careful with our time, and we did the time we could meet. We did like the videos for You Are No Exception and A Pale Shadow, and then some other time I did just recording like vocals, and I recording people, and I was like, that was like really the focus for me at that time. So I guess that we had to be a little more wise with that, I guess.
That's fair. Yeah, I think it turned out really well in the end, though. Tech at Home, every band put on a great set, and it was quite varied as well. Was there any particular ones you guys enjoyed?
Hala were sick. They were so good.
Yeah, them and there was somebody else really good on it as well. And I've
Slice the
completely,
Cake,
like, forgotten.
obviously.
Yeah,
We
Slice the Cake were well sick.
We don't even need to talk about Slice the Cake. Of course, they were amazing.
Yeah, that was class. And there was somebody else like on quite early that was really good, and I've forgotten the name, which is terrible.
I can't remember the whole lineup in my head, but names will pop out here and there. But have you, whoever it was that you've forgotten the name of, have you actually listened to them since, Rossa?
I feel like I have. Like they were a band I know and like listen to, and I can't remember who it is.
Being put on the spot, and it's just like, wait, what was that again?
No, like, you know how people do that? Like, oh yeah, like, what are you listening to right now? And I'm like, I don't know. I couldn't tell you like off the spot without like, oh, go and check my Spotify.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, actually, I'm just seeing in the chat. I don't think Tiberius played it, but Neshima played it, the same one as we did, and they did a pretty cool kind of performance. So they're local to us.
Yeah, I remember that name. I don't really remember the performance at this point, but yeah, it was a while ago.
November seems like forever ago, to be honest.
Yeah, it genuinely does.
I'm literally like, we're almost closer to like this coming November than like last November, and I don't like that.
Oh no, don't put that on me.
I feel like one of those scummy people that's like, it's only 34 days till Christmas.
No.
Oh no, we're almost
like, go away, Sharon, I don't care.
Oh god, no, I don't like that thought. It feels like this whole last year is just, it hasn't been a year anyway, so
yeah,
it's just kind of gone. I mean, you said about some of the music videos, and I think you've mentioned one of the newer singles, but are you working on anything else at the moment, and what sort of direction is it going in?
Yeah, I've been working away. I literally haven't stopped. When I kind of get like furloughed from work last year, I was like, okay, it's time to get to work, like I was saying earlier, and I've just kept going. And I've been recording recently, and we're kind of getting that penciled in and, you know, put together. I don't know when anything new will come out, but like we might as well do it now while it's fresh and we've got a bit of leeway, and before we maybe get back into a touring cycle. You know, especially like we're a band that like we still have to have jobs and stuff. So like if we can take the holiday time to do it now and we don't have to use it for touring, like that's great. So yeah, been busy, been working away, and we'll keep working away for as long as it takes.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that was all very cryptic, but yeah, hopefully soon.
Hopefully soonish.
Yeah, I'd like something new out before the end of the year. I don't know whether that'll be an album. I don't know whether that'll be singles, but like, yeah, I will tell you that I've like written a lot of music in the past year, that's put us in good stead, you know, going forward to play about with.
Oh, and does that differ quite a lot from All Flesh is Grass, or similar vein, or have you decided to go in any specific sort of concepts with it?
Ska. We're now a ska band. No, we're not.
Yeah, we've got the horn section.
What everyone needs right now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think You Are No Exception and A Pale Shadow were like probably a good like indicator of where the newer stuff has gone. I took a bit of time out actually from writing like a more full release to do them like on the back burner, just for that release. So I think they're in a similar vein, and if people enjoyed them, and if people just enjoyed All Flesh is Grass, like, yeah, they'll find something on this they'll enjoy. But a main focus for me, definitely, like, not conceptually, but like, was to have more like defined song. Like, Will was mentioning earlier, like when I write, it's quite like cohesive as like a full body of work. But I wanted everything to have a quite, like, even though it does that, I want it to still have like, oh, that's that song. And that's been a real like conscious decision when I'm working now. So yeah, more atmospheric stuff, bigger, chunky riffs, and just songs, actual songs.
So that people will remember the songs and not the covers.
Exactly. Get the covers gone. That one cover out the window. Nobody wants to remember that.
until we do a Judas Priest cover album, then that is it. That's all we'll be known for.
Yeah, I mean, Death Beat us to doing Painkiller, but I'm up for giving it a more blast beaty sort of rendition.
Make it your own. The world is your oyster. Do whatever you want with it, kinda, except for copyright. But yeah,
Big thing.
yeah. And
Just a fairly large bump in the road.
it's that little bit of copyright that you've got to get past first, you know. So you're looking at new stuff yourself, but I mean, that question we sort of said before, what have you been listening to recently? We'll switch it slightly and say, what's been the most recent release you've loved?
Osiah's new album. Holy crap. Ridiculous.
I have not listened.
Yeah, if you want to talk about like mates forcing you to kind of look at it and level up, that band and that record, I'm like, oh, damn. Okay.
Right. Are they from nearby you guys, or?
Are they what, sorry?
Are they nearby?
No, they're from like
Newcastle or Sunderland, or I don't want to like offend them and say Newcastle or Sunderland.
they're from like the northeast, like sort of Sunderlandy.
We're Scottish. We don't know geography.
Don't say Newcastle.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're from like kind of Sunderland, like northeast. But like, I mean, yeah. But like, obviously, like with still the internet, and like we kind of know them, and like they're mates of ours, and yeah. So their record, and I'm just checking my Spotify now.
Pupil Slicer's new album was insane.
Mirrors are sick.
Summoning the Lich, pretty much like Summoning the Lich. They're like a faster Black Dahlia murder, but all the songs are about Magic the Gathering.
Yes, I actually reviewed that one on Invicta site, and it surprised me how well put together it was, and like the story they'd created with it was really compelling. That was a big plus in my book, actually. So yeah, but it was. I mean, they said Magic the Gathering, Dungeons and Dragons, you know, all that sort of thing. And then on the press release, it was like, yeah, you've got all these, and then loads of inspiration from Adventure Time as well. I was like, you know, cool, a little bit different.
I'm
in. No, that was a good one. Anything else spring to mind as Ross checked his Spotify?
Yeah, new Godeater album, new Vulgarta single, and the new Ageless Oblivion album is a certified topper as well.
Nope, he's gone.
Okay, so came back with all of those. We've got quite a few different releases that if people haven't listened to, probably should.
Yes, I would 100% agree.
Would you, another question that probably relates to that, you could probably use one of those examples you've just given, but if you could recommend anyone one album to most accurately sum up your current taste in music, what would it be?
I generally just listen to death metal stuff, so probably Summoning the Lich or Osiah. It's either like it goes from death metal or strictly Incubus. So, yeah.
Just in terms of like, I've listened to, there's a band called Capstan, and they did an album a couple of years ago, and it's like, I think people kind of build them as a pop punk band, but like it's got blast beats and like really like ripping guitar work, and it's like, it sounds like if Between the Buried and Me kind of ditched all the like wonky stuff and like just played pop punk. It's so class, honestly. Like, it's one of the best albums I've heard in like years. And yeah, that kind of sums up what I'm listening to quite a lot recently.
That was what, Capstan, was it?
Yeah, Capstan. I can't remember what the album's called. I think it's like Restless Heart or something, but they've also got an EP out before it called Wax Poetic, which is class. Well worth checking out.
That sounds like a really weird combo, but I'm definitely interested in hearing.
It is, and everybody's like, what? Like, surely not. Like, surely that's A, not a combo, and B, very good. But it's both.
Odd.
New Devil Wears Prada. I'd never listened to them at all. The new EP's ridiculous.
I've never actually listened to them myself, to be fair.
I hadn't either.
But
I enjoy the new stuff. So
nice. Yeah, I think someone else was reviewing that one. I can't remember Invicta now who it was, and they picked it up recently. But yeah, definitely want to check out. Anything else spring to mind, or anything else weird and wacky like Capstan?
I mean, I'm going to get slated for this. I don't know how the chat's going to go, but Ice Nine Kills, love them. Everybody hates them. I've already heard the sigh from Well over my headphones. Absolutely unreal band. Honestly, like they're one of the best live bands I've ever seen, and just great. Slightly novelty with the whole like horror thing, but yeah, great.
Yeah, in fact, Enthos, like a really strange Italian band, like the contortionist between the Buried Me, the bass player is unreal.
If you want something weird that's just come out as well, listen to Grey Aura, Svart Bierkant. It's black metal, but you're putting in a bit of jazz and a bit of flamenco and spoken word and a few other bits and bobs in there as well. And it's really, really good. Like at first, it's a bit weird, but once you start digging into it, it's so well put together. It's really smooth, like the transition from black metal to the jazz.
That sounds really cool. Yeah. I'll put in the Nazi background check and then check them out. But
I think because it's a concept album based on a novel the singer wrote about some dude getting lost in the Russian art form suprematism. So I think he's probably too busy looking into art to be a Nazi, but you know, I didn't see anything like that when I was
fingers crossed then, and that because that sounds really good. I want to check that out.
Fingers crossed that he's just an art nut, but you know,
you just never know with black metal.
Yeah, it's very hit and miss, difficult indeed. So I'm right. I can't really think of anything else I wanted to mention at this point, actually. Is there anything you guys wanted to say or anything you want to plug, of course?
I mean,
probably just...
Yeah. Sorry, Will, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, just thanks to everyone for supporting us during the whole lockdown thing. And thanks to you guys for asking us to hang out.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having us on the stream. Like Will says, thanks to anybody who's, chatted to us. Like we've had our own Twitch channel, so anybody who's been on that, anybody who's bought merch or listened to us in the past year. And if anybody's new here who hasn't heard us, you can check out You Are No Exception and A Pale Shadow, which is a new release from January this year. And yeah, drop us a follow on all socials at Godeater UK. And come and catch us on tour with Osiah and Bound in Fear in December this year.
That was
Metal Horns.
Yeah, that was perfect. No, and the new single is cracking. I had to listen to it before as well. So
thank you very much.
Yeah, Thank you. I really that one. I think it's a step up as well from All Flesh is Grass. So only on up from here. I'm
really pleased to hear that because I think I think we want to improve as a band like every time we do a release. So I think it's a big thing for me personally, like writing it, to hear that as well. Like I want people to be like, oh yeah, that's like, it's obviously the same band and it's obviously the same person, but like they're evolving and improving, and yeah, that's cool. Thank you.
Most welcome. It's been lovely having you both on, and I'm sure we'll see a lot more from you towards the end of the year.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, toes crossed if you can do that, whatever. Yeah. Right, well, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. It was bloody lovely, and hopefully I'll get to host another one again in future.
Yes.
And yeah, so Sunday services every couple of weeks. And yeah, check Invicta out, our reviews, our gaming, etc., etc. We've got loads of it. So Invicta Media UK. And yeah, I hope you're all having a lovely Sunday evening. I've been your host, Josh, and I'll say bye to everybody now. Adios.